Have you ever heard of the man who sold the Eiffel Tower twice? It sounds like a scene straight out of a heist movie, but Victor Lustig, a cunning con artist, pulled off this audacious feat in real life. But Lustig wasn't just a one-hit wonder. His bag of tricks was overflowing with schemes that exploited human greed and trust. So, buckle up as we delve into the mind of a master manipulator and explore how his legacy continues to inform the art of the modern-day con. The shroud of mystery surrounding Victor Lustig's early life in Hostinné, a town then part of Austria-Hungary, and now in the Czech Republic, only adds to the intrigue of this notorious con artist. Born on January 4th, 1890, the details of his arrival into the world are as hazy as some of the smoke and mirrors he'd employ later in life. His true name was not definitively known, as he often used aliases to weave elaborate narratives. However, amidst the murk, some consistent threads emerge, painting a picture of a young man with a potent mix of charm and a troubling ease with deception. Lustig possessed an undeniable charisma, a quality that would later blossom into a masterful tool for his cons. Even as a boy, stories hint at the undercurrent of deceitfulness that would become his hallmark. Local tales suggest he adopted aristocratic aliases with titles like Baron or Count during his teenage years. This early taste for elaborate personas foreshadowed the grand illusions he'd orchestrate on a much larger scale in his adult life. Another crucial aspect of Lustig's formative years was his linguistic prowess, which he claimed to have honed during his youth. His fluency in multiple languages would prove to be a valuable asset. It allowed him to navigate different cultures with ease, building trust and rapport with unsuspecting marks who might have otherwise been wary of a foreigner. Combined with his quick wit and ability to think on his feet, this linguistic ability would become another weapon in his ever-growing arsenal of deception. These early years in Hostinné reveal a young Lustig who could disarm you with a smile and a captivating story, but also a young man who wasn't afraid to bend the truth to his advantage. It's this potent combination of charm and cunning that laid the foundation for his transformation into Victor Lustig, the con artist who would leave his mark on the 20th century. Lustig's early forays into deception likely began on a small scale, perhaps even in his teenage years with petty scams around his hometown. However, it was during his time working on transatlantic cruise ships that he truly began to refine his craft. These ocean voyages provided a rich environment for a young Lustig to develop his nascent skills in deception and manipulation. The very nature of transatlantic travel in the early 20th century made it an ideal training ground for an aspiring con man. Passengers, often wealthy and unfamiliar with each other, presented easy marks. The anonymity and transient nature of shipboard life meant that Lustig could ply his schemes without fear of immediate repercussions. He could disappear into the crowd after a successful con, leaving bewildered victims in his wake. Details about Lustig's specific cons on these ships included card games, rigged bets, and other confidence tricks that exploited his charm, wit, and fast talking. These early cons served as a crucial apprenticeship for Lustig, allowing him to hone his deceptive skills, understand human psychology, and build the confidence he needed to orchestrate the more elaborate schemes that would bring him notoriety later in life. It was on these ships that Victor Lustig, the petty swindler, began to transform into Victor Lustig, the con artist extraordinaire. As Lustig's cons grew more elaborate, so did the persona he cultivated to ensnare his marks. Shedding his ordinary background, he adopted a series of aristocratic aliases, most famously Count Victor Lustig. These titles, coupled with his natural charm, allowed him to seamlessly blend into high society, where his targets often resided. Lustig's fluency in multiple languages further enhanced his persona. He could converse effortlessly with people from various countries, adding another layer of sophistication and credibility to his act. This linguistic fluency not only allowed him to target a wider range of victims, but also helped him gain their trust by appearing cultured and worldly. By carefully crafting his persona, Lustig transformed himself from a streetwise conman into a believable, sophisticated figure who could move with ease amongst the wealthy elite. By the 1920s, the luster of the Eiffel Tower had begun to fade. Initially constructed for the 1889 Exposition Universelle, World's Fair, its initial awe factor had dimmed. The once revolutionary structure now faced a new challenge: maintenance. The wrought iron latticework required constant upkeep to prevent rust and ensure its stability. This upkeep wasn't cheap, and whispers of the Eiffel Tower's exorbitant maintenance costs began circulating in Parisian circles. These whispers, fueled by articles in French newspapers debating the tower's usefulness and the burden of its upkeep, became a siren song for Victor Lustig. This notorious con artist, ever on the lookout for an audacious scheme, saw an opportunity where others saw a headache. Lustig hatched a plan so audacious, so utterly unbelievable, that it just might work, selling the Eiffel Tower itself. Not as a tourist attraction, not as a historical landmark, but as scrap metal. This outlandish scheme would become one of Lustig's most notorious cons, a testament to his ability to exploit human psychology and manipulate even the most seemingly secure situations. Lustig's execution of the first Eiffel Tower scam was a masterclass in manipulation and exploiting human psychology. He meticulously crafted a persona to fit the part, adopting the distinguished title of Deputy Director General. Leveraging the whispers of the Eiffel Tower's financial burden, Lustig cleverly forged government documents that supposedly confirmed a clandestine plan to sell the iron behemoth for scrap due to its maintenance costs. These fabricated documents were vital, lending an air of legitimacy to his otherwise outlandish scheme. Next came the stage for the performance. Lustig meticulously targeted potential buyers, inviting only prominent scrap metal merchants to a clandestine meeting at a luxurious Parisian hotel. This venue choice, a place of opulence and discretion, further bolstered the illusion of legitimacy. Once assembled, Lustig spun a captivating tale of the government's supposed dilemma, emphasizing the need for absolute secrecy due to the project's sensitive nature. He expertly preyed on the allure of a lucrative deal, the chance to dismantle a Parisian landmark for a hefty profit, and the fear of missing out. By strategically inviting only a select few, Lustig fostered a competitive atmosphere, making the prospect of securing the contract even more enticing. One such businessman, André Poisson, fell victim to Lustig's elaborate ruse. Charmed by Lustig's persona and convinced of the deal's legitimacy, Poisson eagerly participated in the discussions. Fearing he might lose the opportunity to a competitor, Poisson readily agreed to Lustig's terms and even went a step further, paying a hefty bribe to secure the contract. Lustig had anticipated this. He understood the human tendency to justify additional investment in a perceived sure thing. Only after handing over a significant sum of money did the horrifying realization dawn on Poisson: he had been duped. Humiliated and fearing further scandal, especially the ridicule of being conned over such a ludicrous scheme, Poisson never reported the crime to the authorities. This final act of silence allowed Lustig to vanish with the stolen funds, leaving behind a bewildered victim and a legendary con that cemented his place in the annals of history's most audacious swindlers. Basking in the success of his audacious Eiffel Tower con, used his ill-gotten gains to indulge in a life of extravagant luxury. For a brief period, he shed the cloak of the conman and transformed himself into a high roller. He reveled in the finer things in life, frequenting expensive restaurants, gambling at opulent casinos, and surrounding himself with beautiful women. He likely showered his secret family with a taste of this newfound wealth, ensuring a comfortable life for them. Lustig, however, was never one for a quiet existence. The thrill of the con, the constant scheming, and the intoxicating power of manipulation were too deeply ingrained in him. His lavish lifestyle, fueled by stolen money, was destined to be short-lived. The insatiable urge for the next big scheme would soon propel him back into the world of cons, forever chasing the fleeting high of a well-executed swindle. Victor Lustig, a notorious con artist, wasn't satisfied with swindling scrap metal dealers once with the Eiffel Tower. Emboldened by his success, he returned to Paris 6 months later, ready to reprise his scheme. Lustig used a similar approach, posing as a government official and capitalizing on rumors about the Eiffel Tower's maintenance costs. He targeted new businessmen, weaving tales of the tower being a burden and up for sale. However, Lustig's luck ran out. News of the first scam had circulated, and whispers reached the intended victim. The potential buyer grew suspicious and alerted the authorities, leading to Lustig's escape from Paris before he could be apprehended. This marked the end of his attempt to sell the Eiffel Tower twice. Victor Lustig's repertoire of cons extended far beyond the audacious Eiffel Tower sale. One of his most ingenious schemes involved the money box, a meticulously crafted mahogany contraption. This box, presented as a marvel of engineering, supposedly held the secret to duplicating currency. Lustig would target wealthy individuals, luring them with the prospect of exponential returns. The scam hinged on the box's supposed conditioning period. Marks were instructed to place real bills inside for 6 hours to prime the machine. While the victim's back was turned, Lustig would cleverly swap the real bills for cleverly made forgeries, leaving them with a fancy box and a hefty dose of disappointment. Lustig wasn't deterred by danger, and even attempted to swindle the infamous gangster Al Capone. The details surrounding this encounter are shrouded in mystery, but legend has it that Lustig approached Capone with a rigged roulette wheel. He supposedly recognized a kindred spirit in Lustig's cunning and saw through the scam. The encounter supposedly ended with a grudging respect between the two conmen, each acknowledging the other's ingenuity. Whether this story is true or not, it exemplifies Lustig's audacity and his willingness to take on even the most formidable marks. Victor Lustig's life of crime eventually caught up with him due to a combination of his flamboyant lifestyle and the persistent nature of his cons. Despite his attempts to compartmentalize his schemes, his lavish spending habits attracted scrutiny. Law enforcement agencies across the globe were familiar with his aliases and modus operandi. His undoing came in the form of a counterfeiting operation in 1935. While the authorities initially apprehended him for this crime, it was a seemingly unrelated detail that sealed his fate. A key found in his possession unlocked a safe containing counterfeit currency, directly linking him to the crime. Lustig's escape from prison before his trial demonstrated his resourcefulness, but it was a temporary reprieve. He was recaptured and ultimately sentenced to a lengthy prison term. The constant flight and deception finally came to an end. Lustig's 1935 arrest for counterfeiting led to a dramatic legal saga. The star witness for the prosecution was William Watts, a former accomplice in the counterfeiting ring. Watts, likely swayed by a promise of leniency, spilled the beans on the entire operation, detailing Lustig's role in acquiring printing equipment and managing the scheme. This testimony placed Lustig firmly at the center of the crime. The trial wasn't without its theatrics. In a surprising turn of events, Lustig maintained his composure throughout the trial. This abrupt change of strategy might have been fueled by the strength of the prosecution's case, or a desperate attempt to avoid a potentially harsher sentence following a full trial. Despite the guilty plea, the judge didn't go easy on Lustig. Considering the severity of the crime and his escape attempt from custody, the court sentenced him to 15 years in prison with an additional 5 years for the escape. This marked the end of Lustig's criminal career and sent him to the notorious Alcatraz prison. Victor Lustig's life in Alcatraz, the infamous high-security prison, was a far cry from his days of luxury and freedom. The harsh conditions of the prison, known for its isolation and strict routines, were a stark contrast to his flamboyant lifestyle. Despite this, there are some accounts suggesting that Lustig may have attempted to reform himself. There were claims about him meeting with the prison chaplain, but his true intentions remain unclear. However, given Lustig's penchant for deception, it's difficult to discern if this was a genuine attempt at repentance or simply another con, perhaps aimed at manipulating the chaplain. The truth remains elusive, but one thing is certain: Alcatraz effectively ended Lustig's criminal exploits. On March 11, 1947, Lustig contracted pneumonia and died 2 days later at the Medical Center for Federal Prisoners in Springfield, Missouri, leaving behind a legacy as one of history's most audacious con artists. His life of crime continues to captivate us today, reflecting an enduring fascination with his audacity and cunning. His cons, particularly the Eiffel Tower Scheme, have been immortalized in films and documentaries, solidifying his place in pop culture. Lustig's exploits also serve as a cautionary tale, highlighting the allure and dangers of con artistry. His schemes exposed vulnerabilities in human trust and greed, prompting law enforcement to refine methods for detecting and prosecuting financial crimes. While his life of crime was ultimately a failure, Lustig's legacy lies in the reminder to be wary of smooth talkers and too-good-to-be-true propositions. The exact motivations behind Victor Lustig's life of crime is complex. Psychologists suggest a confluence of factors could have shaped his path. One possibility is a thrill-seeking personality. The elaborate cons he orchestrated offered an adrenaline rush, a constant intellectual challenge of outsmarting his marks. There might also have been a need for control, a desire to manipulate situations and people to his advantage. Furthermore, Lustig's lavish lifestyle suggests a motivation beyond mere financial gain. Perhaps he craved the status and recognition that came with his extravagant spending, a twisted form of validation through deception. His childhood experiences could also be a contributing factor. A lack of positive reinforcement or feelings of inadequacy might have pushed him towards a life of crime to prove his worth. It's important to remember that these are just potential explanations. Lustig himself likely possessed a complex web of motivations. However, understanding these psychological factors can help us recognize the potential warning signs in others and appreciate the intricate forces that can propel someone towards a life of deception. In conclusion, Victor Lustig's life as a con artist offers a fascinating glimpse into the motivations and methods of a master deceiver. While the specifics of his schemes may seem outdated, his core techniques resonate with modern-day scams. Lustig preyed on human greed and the desire for easy money. Today, this translates to phishing emails promising inheritances, pyramid schemes disguised as lucrative investments, and social media cons exploiting vulnerabilities in online marketplaces. His ability to cultivate an air of mystery and authority mirrors the tactics of online fraudsters who create fake profiles and manipulate search algorithms. Lustig's legacy informs our understanding of modern-day fraudsters by reminding us that con artistry thrives on exploiting human weaknesses. By recognizing the parallels between his methods and contemporary scams, we can become more vigilant consumers and citizens. Just like Lustig's elaborate cons relied on manipulating trust, our defense lies in fostering a healthy dose of skepticism and educating ourselves about the ever-evolving techniques of modern-day con artists. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video about Victor Lustig's crazy cons, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Don't forget to also hit that notification bell so you never miss a video.